Hello everyone, it's Pam here with Tattered Paper and Lace, and I am back for a journal flip through. It's been a while, but I've been working on this journal and I've not been doing much else but working on this journal, and I decided not to film or video the process of doing that because I did that on the last one, and so, processes are not that much difference. This one is 6 3/4 tall, 5 1/4 wide, and the spine is 1 3/8 inches. So let me welcome you all again to my channel. Thank you for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. And I apologize for not having more videos out, but they're going to be sporadic because, well, for one, it's summer. So they'll be a little sporadic, but I do have one today. So welcome. I'm glad you're here and I hope you enjoyed this video. Okay, this is a hard book cover. It's a hardcover. And it was a photo album. So I was able to keep the inside, front and back papers, that covered the inside of the cover intact, because the photo insert just pulled right out of the center of the spine. So it had this elastic already, but it did not have this. So I added this, and the reason I added this is because this was stretched out a bit, and I love the colors of this. So I wanted to keep this as the closure, but because it's loose, I had to take up more space. And because it originally was just supposed to go around your photo album like this. But it is loose, and so I have made it go around the journal. Oops. And still has a little elastic in it. And I've made it go around the journal like this, around this button. I loved the colors. I have to move this to the side. I got my camera too low. Let me move my camera up just a little bit. There we go. Okay, there we go. I put this, it's actually a brad, not a button. So that is how you close it. Here is the back. This is where they are attached. And here is the top, the bottom, if you can see that, and the opening. And I have 3 charms on here, and you just undo that around there. And we'll go inside. Now this is made with the cover's a photo album. So this is very easily done because I used Natasha's idea about using calendar pages. I had this one on my back burner wanting to use calendar pages, and I just never got to it. So when I watched her video, a recent video of hers using calendar pages, I thought now is the time. So this is made with calendar pages. It is made with plant catalogs. My husband is a gardener. He loves to plant flowers, and he loves to have one of every kind. So he's always getting catalogs in the mail. So that's what I've used, the catalogs and calendar pages. So this is one of the images from a catalog. I have backed it with the purple cardstock, and it is stitched around, and I wanted to use that as my front cover. Also, will tell you that my husband gave me I would ask his opinion when I was waffling on something, and so he would say, oh no, I like this better, or I like that better, or whatever, and I usually went with what he liked better. So that is what I have done here. Anyway, so we go in. I'm calling this Bloom House because this is a cutout from the wrap on a bouquet of flowers that you get from the grocer, or like Trader Joe's or Kroger or somewhere. And it had Bloom House, and I said, this is perfect for this. So I'm calling this Bloom House. This is a page from the catalog. This is actually probably the front of the catalog. And so this is the inside page of the catalog. I have used some cardstock decorative paper here to cover up the writing that was here. It's like 50% off of these are what this is, blah, blah, blah. And then I used a playing card. This is a playing card, and stitched around that. So there's quite a bit of stitching in here. So I stitched around that, and then I've made a tuck in this way of the playing card. You'll have to forgive me. It's been a while since I videoed. And inside, I just have a map of the zones for, your cold, warm zones. And then this is just a little, says Earthly Pleasures, a little journaling spot there. And then in here, I made this cardstock be a pocket. And we have another little journaling spot and a tag that I have made. And we'll just, and I need to put something on that tag right there. Haven't done that yet. Then over here, I used a little book. I have a little book. I've put it away already that has a little, each page. This is the size of the book. So it's a little tiny book, and it had quotes on the pages. And so I used this one to go here, again, backing it with purple cardstock and sewing around there. And then this is a fussy cut from something, probably the catalog. I think it was the catalog. In any case, you'll have to forgive me. Anyway, so this page right here is an interesting, I have a whole book, actually I have 2 books of these pages that is a map of, hold on, I'll get it because I can't remember exactly what it is. Soil survey. It's a soil survey map from these counties, and it's just, and these maps fold out big, so I have lots of these, and it makes a great background page, especially in some sort of nature journal, which this one is really sort of a nature journal. It's florals, but that again is nature. So I have used that, and then this stitching, I stitched through the page on this stitching, which created the stitching on this side, and I just put a vellum sticker on that side. Here is some calendar pages, and this is coffee dyed calendars that are desk calendars, that are the big, the big blotter kind of calendars, and that's what this is. So that's one calendar page. And then I've used some cards, and that's what this is a card, and I stitched around this whole card, which you'll see the other side later. Then I had some torn paper. This looks like a stamp, but it's not. It is from a book that was just black and white, and I cut that out and put it here. Then I made this pocket, which is stitched between each one, and this was different. It was from the catalog, and it was the different things that you could get, and it sort of was like this page, or what, you can probably see it better back here. Let me see if I can find the back of this page. Hold on. This page. It was sort of like this page, and I cut it apart, but it was smaller. So it had smaller images. And just put them in to make the pocket. Put a little ribbon at the top. This is from I used a very vintage book page to do this. And this is actual dried leaves and flowers from my yard. This is stitched together, and this is acetate that had this little image on it. So I cut it up. It was a 12 by 12 sheet. I cut it up, and I've used it for several little journaling cards like this with my flowers and leaves from my own yard. So those are pressed flowers in there, and I like how that turned out. And then this is just a vellum sticker on this side. A little quote here. And this is like an applique. I cut it apart from a bigger one. This is a sticker on this envelope. This is an envelope that is a decorative envelope, and so this is the flap, and I just tucked the flap inside, so it made the pocket here. And then I put this little label on it to make a pocket here, and then this is just some little pieces, not that one, but it had flowers too, that you can journal on or place somewhere in the journal that you would like to place. And those just tuck in here. I wanted that to sort of look like a bouquet down here at the bottom. And then up here, I have a journaling card. And I have a friend whose mother's friend would send her mother these very ornate, decorated greeting cards, just like once a month, for years. And this is part of that. She gave all those to me because her mother was having to downsize and go into a nursing facility. And so, you see this little tear right here? I'm going to show you how I fix that. And so she had to get rid of some things, and these cards were something that she hung on to but didn't need to keep. So they got transported to me. So I have this homemade vintage tape, and I am just going to take this and just do it around like that. And then you can still journal on that, and then it just has a little more character. And that's going to stick right in there. And that's how I correct things like that. Over here, this is a bug image that is printed on a vellum type paper. And it's also stitched around. Decided not to make that a pocket. And then here is the first charm. And I have a video where I have made these charms from eyeshadow palettes that have this is the little tray that your eyeshadow would go in. And then I did a little charm here with that. That is just a little gem. And this is from my scrapbooking days. And these are plastic. I've got 3 of them, and they're plastic labels. This does come out. You can take that out and put something else in there if you want to. But I used that to attach the charms to, because I just have one end of it sticking out. This is from a book page that has flowers like that. So I turn that sideways. Uh-oh, it's coming out. Let me stick that back in. This is another greeting card, and I turned it inside out. So this is the outside. Did a little collaging there, and then this right here tells you what this artwork is about right here. So that's what this is here, and I thought that was kind of neat to have those side by side. That's just cut from a book. This is cut from the catalog, and this was just a sticker I had. Some little fabric here on this side of the envelope, and in this envelope, part of the envelope. So this was the flap of the envelope I just tucked down inside there. This I made into a journaling spot, and this is wallpaper. And it turned out really cute, I think. So this is vintage wallpaper. And then I have this, which is a poem, The Language of Flowers, but it's also 2 other poems on this side. So I did not, originally was going to make that into a journaling card, but then I decided I didn't want to, so that you could then have the pleasure of reading all the poems. And then this is what the envelope, this is part of the envelope. This hydrangea is part of the envelope. So I loved how that looked, and it was perfect colors for in here. I love these colors together, this green and purple. I love it. Now this is another quote from that little book, and this is my own little doodling around here, and I thought that turned out cute. I like how that looks. And it bled through, one of the pens I used bled through, so I had to do doodling on this side too. And then this is a paper flower that I've attached with the mesh drywall tape in the background. Fabric pocket stitched around. And these, I'll show you because this is the same fabric right here. These flowers are originally this sort of reddish, pinkish color, and I wanted them to be purple. So I used a marker, and I made them purple. It worked well. And then this is a journaling card that also has a Bible verse on the back. Tuck that in there. Over here, I made this pocket. This was, the page was longer, so I folded it over. And I used some burlap ribbon, the paper drywall tape here. And then this is the leaf ribbon that you can buy at Hobby Lobby. And then I stitched down the middle of it with the purple thread. And I like how that turned out. And this is a vintage postcard that is from 1910. I believe it says 1910 on there. And the colors were perfect, so that went in. There's 3 vintage postcards, 1 in each signature. This has 3 signatures. It's the other side of the greeting card. And I covered up what was in the back of this with this piece of paper. And I just put this is like a Tim Holtz word thing you can peel and stick. It says 10 things I love. And those are down here. And then actually there's 11 squares, so you could add another one. The catalog also had these little pieces that were kind of get the light not to stick on it there, not to reflect. So this is a little tip. This is a do-it-yourself trick using lavender. So I put that there. And this was a sticker I've had forever. There's 1 in each signature of these. And this is the corner of a square that was about 8 inches square. That is a do-it-yourself invitation kind of card. So I just fussy cut the corners out and made each one be a pocket. And then I have a tag that tucks right in there, just like that. This is cut from wallpaper, and this is a sticker. This is the part of the catalog. I had to cover up this side of it because it was all writing, and this is what was decorative. So I left that and just covered this so you could write on it. And on this side, I covered down here with green painter's mask and a Tim Holtz number with just some cardstock behind it to cover up the writing that I did not want to show on this side. And then this is calendar page. And on the inside of this, because this would be the calendar side. And this would be the picture above. And I have some digitals that I did that was of lace placemats and items that I have. And I scanned them and digitized them basically. And so I put them on the inside so you didn't see that it was a calendar page or it didn't have the calendar squares. And then I used another corner of the invitation card right here. And this is something that came in, I believe it came in the catalog. Plant care, urgent plant care. So this is kind of a gardening theme here. This is another one of the blotter calendars. Book page. This is from a book. This is what the other side of these floral pages look like. And this is a vintage stationery. This is a map from that same soil survey book, but this just happened to be a different looking map. But you can also write all around that. Then over here on the other side is a very pale writing, and you could write on top of that if you wanted to. So I did some collaging over here. This is the back of the paper tape. The paper drywall tape has it's a peel and stick. So when you peel off the back, this piece is the back. So I use that as well as the front. The front is the white color, and then the back is this. This is from a piece of fabric, and that is from catalog. Then I have this fabric pocket, and it is stitched around as well. Tag is stitched around as well. And we have a tag there. So I've got quite a bit of stitching in here. Another vintage postcard, because we're in the second signature now. And this is just a collage of something I got from a magazine. It's not from the catalog, but it's from a different magazine. It is stitched down. I have a little piece of this purple fabric here with a little white trim that I just stitched down and stitched down the edge here. And this is another vintage postcard that had the correct colors in it, and it is from also 1910. And these are all written on, so there's one more in here. So we tucked that in there, and then I did another little quote here with, and I wanted that date on there, it's 1936, with the little doodling that I did. I tried a different pen, and it didn't go through as badly, so I did not have to do anything over here, but I did. Use some mesh drywall here, and then that was just from from another catalog. Here, this is that map, that soil survey map page, and it had this white spot, and I don't remember what was on the rest of the page because I had to cut it down. So I decided I would do this little leaf ribbon you get from Hobby Lobby, and this is a paper flower, and I thought that turned out really cute. I like that. And then I love this doily. I think this on top, I loved it so much that I almost glued this down so you would just open the middle of the page and it would be this, because I think this against this page is beautiful. And that's a doily, a patterned doily. But then we have another one of those labels. Again, you can take this writing out of the middle, and this has another little charm. And this charm is a butterfly. Little butterfly with a little stone, and that is on that label. And when we turn that over, we have two little pockets here. This again is made from wall covering. It is this is journal ledger paper, and so I made a journaling spot out of this wallpaper. I thought that turned out really cute. It is also stitched around, and I used purple stitching on all of this. And then I have purple fabric back here, but it is covered with the drywall mesh tape, which is this. So it's covered with that. I like that effect. Thought that turned out really cute. And then I did have another layer of fabric here with just a piece of lace, a little piece of vintage trim, this little twill ribbon, measuring tape ribbon, and then this is also from, I believe this is from our greeting card, and that tucks in there. And then over here we have a vellum pocket stitched around, and this is just a note card tucked right in there. And it's amazing how when you're in a theme, how many things you can find that go with that theme. This is fussy cut from the catalog. And this is also from the catalog, telling you what it is. And then that's a map page. Then this is also a dried flower from my garden, from my yard. They're little tiny ground cover violets that come in the spring every year. And so I usually get pick a bunch, and dry them. So that's what this is, and this is in a coin holder. You know, if you have a expensive coin that you're keeping, you want to keep pristine, it goes in these little coin holders. So that is there. And then on this side, this is the other side of this vintage stationery. And then here is an idea from Natasha at Treasure Books, and this is a calendar page that's folded 3 times in thirds. You can watch her video and see how to do that. So I did that, but I put a magnet in it. So I did mine a little differently. So I have a magnet in there so that it can stay shut. And then in here, it's a pocket, and I have another playing card in here that tucks in there. And then in each of these pockets, I have a tag that I have made that you can write on. And those tuck in there. And this one. And this is a vellum sticker on that with the mesh drywall tape on the background. I love the drywall tapes. They give you such great texture. So that's the mesh drywall tape, which is more of a plastic, and then this one has the paper drywall tape, which is paper, and that's the brown dotted stuff that I use is the backing when you peel and stick this. So that's just peel and stick, and it sticks right on. So there we go. There's that. And then another book page, and this is the blotting calendar. Has some lace on the edge of this page. Vintage, that's very vintage lace. Then this is the other side of my digital that I have of lace things that I have. And this is the calendar page. Another calendar page here. This is a different digital that I have. That's a lace that I have. Then this was cut. I don't know where this was cut from. It was not the catalog, but I had this somewhere in a batch of papers. It was a person was practicing their lettering different ways, and so that's the practice sheet. This is an envelope that I made. It is just a white envelope that I die cut. This is a Tim Holtz die cut, this corner cut here. I decoupaged the envelope with napkin. I made a window and put vellum in that. And this is the other side, and so I left it open, and because I had to open it up to make this window and put the vellum in there. So I left it open so you could actually journal all over, and I think it'd be kind of cool if you write over this, that you would see that writing backwards on the other side. I thought that would be kind of neat. And then we have 3 journaling cards in there, and I'm just leaving that open so you have secret journaling there. So we have, I believe this is a leftover digital from Medieval Mirage, I believe. And I have this little card, which I thought was really cute. And let me show you. Found these at the thrift store. And it is this How to Be a Wildflower deck. And so it is all kinds of cards in here with some positive thoughts on the back, whether it's a quote or something else. So that came from that. I got that at the thrift store. Cool find there. So that's in here, behind here. And then we have more from the catalog. Well, actually, this was from a book, I believe. I believe this was from a book. And so it's on rosemary, and then this is a card that I fussy cut from a book as well, that from the same book, that is different kinds of rosemary, and it tells you right here what kind each one is. And I have it in the right order, so it is correct. And that's just tucked right there. Another little doodling with a quote there. That's the calendar page from the blotting calendar. Vintage stationery. This is just a punch. I don't have the punch anymore. I just had this left. Then this is just a little, that's some vintage, this is some vintage tape, measuring tape, and a sticker and cardstock to make this pocket. And this is from the catalog. And I left that on there just so you could read about it if you wanted to. And then I left that, and Brex is the catalog that these came out of. So I left that there just for information, if you will. And you can cover it with paper to write on or whatever you need to do. Then here is the last vintage postcard. I'll lay that way so you can see that. And this one is also probably from 1910. No, this one's 1912. So in the early 1900s until sometime in the 1920s, postcards were the thing. And it was these kinds of postcards. You know, and sometimes you see funny ones. I mean, and that was like the big thing back in that day. So I think that's kind of cool. But I picked out ones that I had that were the right colors. And then this green here is actually packing tape that had this little green floral design on it. And this is a scrapbooking thing that I had. This is paper that was coffee dyed with a doily on top of it. So that's turned out cute. Closing there. Have a little little flashcard, I call it. It says fragrance, nothing on the back. These are coffee dyed. Got that tucked right there. And here is another label. Each signature has one of these green labels that have a charm attached. So this charm is a flower. And you again can take out this and put anything in there that you want. Then this is a Tim Holtz die cut, and then this was part of a Medieval Mirage, and I used Tim Holtz's faux tape to look like it's holding that down. And then this came from a gardening book, a Reader's Digest gardening book, and it has this garden layout. So it's a map of a garden, of what to plant where and how to do it. So I thought that was kind of neat to put into this. And then on this side, this is a Tim Holtz die cut that I have glued here. And then this is fussy cut from a book, the same book the Rosemary's came from. Book page, other side of the doily impression. This is a Martha Stewart punch. Here's another pocket made with images from a catalog. I don't think it's the Brex, but here is a flashcard, a children's flashcard, and it was very, very bright. I didn't like how bright it was, so I covered it with vellum, stitched around, left the threads, cut them off if you don't like them, and then just put some paper on the back to journal on. And this used to be in the wallpaper business. And this is fabric, a copy of fabric from a wall covering book. That is postcards. I have a lot of these because I worked for a wall covering distributor, and this was one of the wall covering items that we had. This was a picture of a fabric, probably was a wall covering that had that same pattern. And so I have a lot of these, and I thought this was the perfect place to put this, so it goes right in there. I thought this turned out cute. It's the same idea as I had on the other, but I left the jaggedness of this because I thought that left it kind of interesting. That's the vintage stationery. And then over here was just a little image from that same little book that has the quotes in it. And I thought that turned out cute there too. And I stitched around that, which left stitching on this side. Then this was a card. It was already cut like that, so I just had to cut it to fit this way. And inside here, this is from 1940 from a autograph book. And on this side, it's from 1938. And then this is just another little quote card. And I just have those tucked right in there. Just like that. And then on this side, this is not a real pressed flower, which you probably could tell. It is fussy cut from some graphic 45 paper, and I just decided to make it look like it was pressed flowers. Brex is the catalog that I have used some of the images out of, and so I just thought I would put that. It looks there. I have this in the catalog as it looks like a little stamp, so I thought I'd just put that there. And then I have my whale tail punch making a tab here with this image, and that can be journaled or written on. The other side of that envelope, it has the tissue. And I left it like this because I thought you could just glue something on there, if you will, like, let's just say, you could do, if you had something you wanted to save, you could just glue it here, and it would be then a page. So I left that for that purpose. This is, I believe it's another Tim Holtz die cut, or somebody's die cut. It is a die cut, not a stamp. And then this is the last pocket, which is another one of the fourth corner of the invitation card. This is a piece of wallpaper. I left it like it is. This is came from a wallpaper book. You can write on that. And this had the information on it, but of course it doesn't show it all. But I wanted to leave that just so you'd know it was wallpaper. And that tucks in there. And then this I made from some fabric. This is a piece of fabric, and this background is from a Kleenex box. And that tucks in there. And then this is the lace on the other side of that. And that is this journal. I appreciate you watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing this. This will be in my Etsy shop, so if you are interested, take a look. And I hope to see you in another video. Thanks again for watching. I appreciate you coming along. I do appreciate everyone so very much, and all those who are loyal to me, thank you. And those who have just joined me, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you'll come back. And I appreciate any and all comments. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.